Daring Marina YouTube channel. Today we will be discussing about emergency starting procedure of marine boilers. So let's discuss about this emergency starting in detail. We need to understand that most of the safety features are bypassed in emergency mode. Only low water level trip and flame failure trip working down in emergency mode. Okay, we have to ensure that most of the safety features are bypassed in emergency mode except low water level trip and flame failure trip work in emergency mode. We have to ensure that low water level trip cannot be bypassed and flame trip this will work in emergency mode. Turn the key to emergency mode in local control panel. From the local control panel, we have to change it to emergency mode. Then we have to start the forced draft fan. We have to start the FD fan. Make sure that there is no alarm for low water level. We have to ensure that there is no water for low water level. In the case of alarm, fill the water above low water level because low water level is not bypassed in emergency fire. We have to ensure that make sure there is no alarm for low water level. We have to ensure that in case of alarm, fill the water above low water level because low water level is not bypassed in the emergency fire. We have to ensure that low water level it is not bypassed in the emergency firing. And we have to purge the furnace by opening the inlet vanes and maximum position by controlling air vane controller in the local panel for near the FD fan. We have to purge the furnace. We have to purge the furnace by opening the inlet vane to maximum position by controlling the air vane and controller in the local panel or near the FD fan. And we have to make sure that airflow to be kept to maximum for at least 2 minutes, that is forced draft airflow to be kept to maximum for at least 2 minutes, and adjust the steam regulating valve for atomizing steam by means of hand wheel or actuator. We have to adjust the steam regulating valve for atomizing steam by means of hand wheel or actuator. Okay, we have to purge the furnace by opening the inlet vane to maximum position by controlling the air vane controller in local control panel or near the forced draft fan. Airflow to be kept to maximum for at least 2 minutes. Adjust the steam regulating valve for atomizing steam by means of hand wheel or actuator. We have to adjust the steam regulating valve for atomizing steam by means of hand wheel or actuator. Then atomizing steam pressure, we have to measure that atomizing steam pressure that to be maintained in the range of 2 to 3 bar. Atomizing steam pressure to be maintained in the range of 2 to 3 bar. And set the airflow, we have to set the airflow to ignition load. We have to set the airflow to ignition load at approximately 18 to 22% load. We have to maintain to 18 to 22% load by reducing the inlet vane angle by for combustion air fan. Okay, we have to set airflow to ignition load position, airflow to ignition load position to 18 to 22% load by reducing the inlet vane angle for combustion air fan, by reducing the inlet vane angle for combustion air fan. Okay, means atomizing steam pressure to be maintained around 2 to 3 bar, and airflow to ignition load position, that means it is to maintain at 18 to 22% load by reducing the inlet vane angle for combustion air fan. And we have to set oil flow to ignition load position to approximately 18 to 22% load by controlling the oil flow regulating valve. We have to maintain the ignition load position approximately 18 to 22% load by controlling the oil flow regulating valve. And we have to press the pilot burner ignition button for oil valve inside the control panel. We have to press the pilot burner ignition button for oil valve inside the control panel. Once the pilot burner is ignited, push the power button for main burner. As soon as the main burner ignites, release the pilot burner button. Okay, we have to ensure that once the pilot burner is ignited, push the power button to main burner. As soon as the main burner ignites, release the pilot burner button. Okay, we have to set the oil flow to ignition load position, that means approximately 80 to 22% load by controlling the oil flow regulating valve. Okay, then we have to set the oil flow to ignition load position by approximately 18 to 22% load by controlling the oil flow regulating valve. We have to press the pilot burner ignition button. We have to press the pilot burner ignition button for oil valves to inside the oil control panel. Then once the pilot burner is ignited, then we can push the power button for the main burner. As soon as the main burner ignites, we can release the pilot burner button also. Then this burner, we know that main burner is now in operation, and you can make adjustment by controlling the air and fuel knobs. Okay, now we can understand that the main burner is now in operation, and we can make adjustment by controlling the air and fuel knobs. Final settings must be determined by visual checks of the flame and flue gas. Final checks and settings must be determined by visual checks of the flame and flue gas. Adjust steam atomizing pressure through steam regulating valve. We can adjust the steam atomizing pressure through steam regulating valve. We can adjust the steam atomizing pressure through steam regulating valve. And then if the steam atomizing pressure is too low at a given burner load, the flame has tendency to sparkle. Furthermore, then flame become unstable at low loads due to poor atomization of oil. Okay, if the steam atomizing pressure is low, means the burner is low, there will be at a given burner load the pressure is too low, that means flame has tendency to get sparkle. That means flame will become unstable at low loads due to poor atomization of oil. And if steam atomization pressure is too high, means combustion zone is cooled. That means flame become unstable at low loads. If it is too high, means atomization pressure is too high, means combustion zone is cooled and flame become unstable at low loads. To ensure that burner receives sufficient amount of oil, it must be necessary to adjust the oil pressure on pressure regulating valve. To ensure the burner receives sufficient amount of oil, we need to ensure that or adjust the oil pressure by pressure regulating valve. If the burner is operating on heavy fuel oil, adjustment of oil temperature might be necessary at larger burner load variation. Because if the burner is operating on heavy fuel oil, because adjustment of oil temperature might be necessary at larger burner load condition, oil temperature should be adjusted on the steam regulating valve for preheater by means of manually operator hand wheel or actuator. Okay, oil temperature should be adjusted by steam regulating valve for preheater. That means for diesel for preheating purpose, we can use manually operator hand wheel or actuator. Oil temperature can be adjusted for steam regulating valve for preheater by means of manually operator hand wheel or actuator. The water level must be carefully and continuously supervised during operation of boiler. During the operation, we have to carefully supervise the water level during the operation of boiler plant. When one of the feed water pump is operation, water level can be regulated on the feed water control by means of manually operator hand wheel. Yes, here manually operator hand wheel can also used when the feed water pump is in operation. Water level can be also maintained in the feed water control by means of manually operator hand wheel or the actuator. Okay, when the feed water pump is in operation, water level can be regulated on the feed water control valve by means of manually operator hand wheel on the actuator. This is how the procedure of emergency starting procedure of a boiler. Thank you.